and welcome to the VoiceBox show. I am Mitchell and this is
Miranda. Hi, how are you all going today?
Today's show is all about men and women and their expectations on each other.
Every culture has different expectations of the gender role, and over time, men and women have been in opposition, struggling to each have power.
That is right. In Mongolia, the roles of men and women and their relationships have been very unique.
In the beginning, men were hunters and they hunted animals for their flesh and hide, and women were gatherers collecting fruit, berries and other materials for the home.
Okay, Miranda, how about this? Let's act it out so that it's more interesting.
Okay. You can be the woman.
Now that doesn't seem right.
Yes, it does. Empathy, Mitchell. Empathy. And you need to wear some lipstick because every woman wears lipstick.
Are you going to be this sarcastic the whole time throughout the show? Gender topics is a very sensitive issue.
That's true, but Mitchell, you do look lovely as a woman.
Thank you. So where were we?
In Mongolia, women have been held in much higher esteem than in other cultures. For example, China and Persia. Men and women have been considered equals.
That's right. Does this mean, Miranda, that you were going to pretend to be a man throughout history?
Well, I suppose so.
Whoa! You look like Chinggis Khan.
Thank you. That's who I was going for.
It is said that Chinggis Khan highly regarded the advice of his wife. For example, one time before he went to war, he said,
I appoint a successor in case I fall in the war. For this advice, I thank my wife.
Before the rule of Chinggis Khan, the legislation for men and women was not equal.
For extramarital affairs, the punishment was death. But only for women.
But Chinggis Khan changed this and charged that men and women would be punished equally.
So everyone would die. But the relationship between men and women has not always been coloured by violence.
In old Mongol belief, it was thought that for a man to marry someone who was somewhat older was a very wise move because they were a lot wiser themselves.
In fact, it is considered unmanly or even immature if the man didn't listen to the advice of his elderly wife.
Clean your boots, darling, before you come into the gear.
In fact, by nature of the nomadic society, men and women were expected to contribute equally to the practical duties. And so women were considered more than just baby-making machines. Although I did say more than just baby-making machines. Women were also excellent horse riders and elite warriors. And also highly esteemed shaman known as Irugan.
Hang on, Miranda. This is where I draw the line. Here, you do it.
Be a shaman. Mitch, don't you think it's a little inappropriate?
No.
Okay, this is ridiculous.
You look lovely as a shaman.
Really? Thank you. You're so supportive, Mitchell.
Just like the Mongolian men and women have been throughout history. Well, that was until the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, it's actually only been in the past few decades, when economic development was introduced during the Soviet period, that the relationship between men and women in Mongolia has changed.
That's right. At the end of November, Mongolia will celebrate the 16 Days for Gender Rights campaign.
This is a very important date on the Mongolian calendar, and soon we will talk to a very special guest, Mugi, who is involved with the campaign.
A long, 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 long time ago,
When man evolved from ape to human and stood on only 2 legs, he was a lot slower than the rest of the animals, especially the ones interested in eating him.
the only way he could survive was to outwit them. This meant his brain grew, and so too did his skull.
However, the woman's body didn't evolve as quickly.
The increased size of the skull caused problems during childbirth. Babies simply could not be born, and many women died during the birth.
This threatened the survival of the species. Women had to adapt.
For the first time in history, women had to resist their natural instinct to have sex with the men.
This frustrated the men because sex was a primal need.
Men also evolved. They developed romance to seduce the women.
And the women indeed were seduced.
Eventually, the pelvis of the woman also developed. Romance and indeed the tension between men and women remained. But our species survived.